All right, Kevin back with you for another episode of the $1 Million Relationships Podcast. And today I'm here with Aaron Smalls. Aaron, welcome. So awesome to have you on the show today.
Hey, Kevin, thank you so much for having me on the show, and thank you to everyone that's watching and listening for being here. We were talking a little bit before the show, and I think you said this is some 400 something episodes that you've
Well,
you've done now.
I think we've done like 340 some episodes now.
Wow,
We haven't got to
that's
400 yet, but we will. We definitely will. So,
there's a four in there somewhere. That's
yes,
what was
yes.
resonating with me. I love that. Well, congrats on that, and thank you to everyone that continues to tune into the show because that's given me the opportunity to be here now with you.
Yeah, I'll tell you, this is hosting this podcast over the last 3.5 years has been hands down, Aaron, the most rewarding and impactful thing I've done in my 30 years as an entrepreneur. And it's just been an amazing experience. I just attract amazing entrepreneurs into my life because of this podcast. And to spend my time and my days just getting to have conversations and get to know and just, interact with entrepreneurs like you who are just making such a huge impact in the world. Man, it's like I couldn't even imagine anything better. And
I
so,
love that. I love that.
and I want to start. I want to start by giving a shout out to Steve Ramona because Steve was the one that introduced you and I, and without him, you and I would have never even met. So, Steve, if you do happen to be listening to this, thank you so much. Aaron and I, we already got a chance to talk earlier, and now we're circling back to do the podcast interview, and what a great testament right there to the power of right relationships. I mean, that's how you
Absolutely.
and I even met. It's
I mean, that's what it's all about, and that's one of the things that prompted me to want to do your podcast was really about those right relationships, and that's something that Steve and I kind of connected on was those right relationships versus those transactional
yeah.
relationships. It's about alignment and trust and mutual uplift, and that's really a big aspect of what I really enjoy is that transformation through connection.
Yes. Amen. Amen. Well, I'll tell you what, we'll start. I'm just going to throw out a nice, easy, simple question to start and just ask you, Aaron, what do you do and who do you serve?
Oh, I love that. What do I do and who do I serve? So I'll give you kind of the how I got to what I do,
Okay. All right.
and then we can tap into the who I serve.
Yeah.
So what do I do now? I've found the thread, the through line to a lot of the different things that I was doing,
Okay.
and that is what led me to create Charismatic Advantage, the art of social energy. So before we tap into that, we kind of rewind a little bit. And I started hosting shows for Nickelodeon way back when. And then from hosting, I got into the DJing side of things. And from the DJing side of things, I got into the acting side of things. So that was kind of my tripod
Okay.
for the longest time. And then I got exactly that question so many times of, hey, what do you do for a living? And it was like,
Mhm.
here we go. Let me talk to you about this. And so people would always gravitate towards one or the other, like, oh, you DJ, that's really fascinating, or oh, you're an actor, what have you been in? And I kind of talk about the projects and they kind of get excited about it. But hosting it has always been my like true love. It's what got me started in all of this. And over time, I was like, what's the through line? What's the thread for all of these things?
Mhm.
And I found that it wasn't just with those three things. It was just relationships in general. And that was energy. And that's where charismatic advantage, the art of social energy, really originated and was born from. Because in every one of those things, hosting, acting, DJing, it's all about that energetic exchange between people and architecting these moments, these experiences between two people that then radiate out into a crowd, right? So it could be one person, I could be talking just to you, Kevin, and the energy that we have that's exchanging back and forth, that's going to radiate out into a
Yeah.
crowd.
You bet.
And I love when people come up to me during an event, after an event, when I get off the stage and they're like, hey, man, I could never do what you do. I could never be up there speaking to all these people. And I was like, well, you're speaking to me just fine right now.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
they're always like, yeah, there's so many people here though. And I'm well, I can't talk to everyone at the same time unless I have some incredible superpower I don't know about. I talk to one person at a time, and then from there, the energy goes out. That those relationships get developed by this ping pong type of energy.
Mhm.
So that's what I do now is I do a lot under the umbrella of charismatic advantage, the art of
Okay.
social energy. So a lot of that deals with public speaking, it deals with mindset and affective leadership. So
Okay.
public speaking, communication, any and all of those elements of being on a stage, whether it's an actual thrust platform type of a stage or you're just at home and you're having a conversation with your wife or your kids, that could be a stage. Anything can be a stage, really. So that's the public speaking communication side of things. Then you have the actions side of things, the mindset side of things of getting your mind right. Because before we can do anything, if our mind isn't there, if our self-concept isn't right, if that self-doubt is there, we can't make things happen. And then lastly, tapping into affective leadership is not effective leadership, not with an E, but affective leadership
Mhm.
with an A, the emotional connection that you're creating with people and how you're leading through emotion. So I teach and I coach those types of things, whether it's through DJing or it's through acting or it's through hosting on a stage, whether you're a manager or a CEO or an executive that's leading a team, you can have all the ideas in a world you in the world. You can have the greatest product, the greatest brand, the greatest service, but unless you're able to communicate that,
That's right.
it's gonna fall flat.
Yeah. Yeah.
So in everything that I'm doing, I'm really teaching people how that energy really impacts and creates relationships.
Yeah.
So when it comes down to who I serve, I kind of mentioned it a little bit there. It's that corporate world of leaders and executives and managers, even down to I found now that some of the younger generation, they're great at pulling information from a screen and doing so much behind the scenes, but you ask them to get on a stage and
Hmm.
present or talk interpersonally, and all of that goes out of the window.
Yeah.
So being able to teach that and have people not have that fear and have the confidence to communicate their message and their brand and their service and all this incredible information, that's one aspect of it. And I do a lot of live events from corporate to experiential
Okay.
style events. So I've done a ton of events for the NFL for the Super Bowl. I do a lot of stuff for T-Mobile. I've been touring and doing events for them for almost a decade now.
Oh, wow.
So
Okay.
that's kind of the other aspect of what I do is the experiential, the live events
Uh-huh.
side of things. So that's kind of my two audiences that I'm really serving.
Okay. Okay. So, um, and what you said about, having a message where, we have to be able to communicate our value effectively to our
Mhm.
ideal prospect in order for them to be able to say, yes, I want that,
Absolutely.
and when we do have that in place, that just gives us confidence in that. And now this, because I know I don't know what the percentage is, but most people would rather die than speak in public. And
Yeah.
that's been I heard that years ago when I was in speech class in high school and didn't really want to be there. I didn't like the
Yeah.
idea of getting in front of the class and having to talk about something. And but that was a
Yeah.
great
And
experience.
yeah, and to quickly interject on that, that happens a lot of the time because I talk to people and I say, you're thinking about the result. You're
Mhm.
skipping ahead to the end.
Mhm.
And that's not where our focus is. When we skip ahead to the end, we're thinking to ourselves, oh, I want to be funny. I want to entertain them. I really want to connect with them. You're thinking about all these things that you want to do
Mhm.
and how you want people to react and what you want them to take away. But we can't control that. We can't do anything with
That's
that.
right. That's
We
right.
have to start at the very beginning of that, and we have to put in our preparation. We have to know what our why is, what our values are.
Yes.
We have to know who we're talking to, and then we can create that relationship. Then we can connect all of those pieces. And if you stay there, then the end is going to be exactly, I put in quotes there, exactly what you want because you're going to deliver authentically the message that you wanted to deliver.
Yeah. And
It,
from there, we just have so much more confidence in just us, and just like,
yeah.
and we start getting excited, like, I mean, it's not work for me to do my thing. I love talking with entrepreneurs. I love finding out what they do and who they serve and what they're working on and what opportunities they want to take advantage of, what challenges they might be dealing with. And because my brain just automatically defaults to who do I know who might be able to help them with this.
Yeah. Love that. I
And
love that.
so then I get to be this connector and conduit of trust and bring amazing entrepreneurs together, And and it's like, yeah, and when we feel that way about what we're doing, and like, now we're not thinking about the end result. In fact, we can totally let go of the end result and like, like and nothing to hide, nothing to prove kind of a thing. We just get to be us and show up and serve and use our God-given gifts to be able to help the other people who we can most help. And the end result is the right people just get attracted to us and like, man, I think you might be able to help me, or I know somebody else that I think you might be able to help, and I want to get you connected with them.
Yeah, I love that. That's one of my core principles with Charismatic Advantage is it ain't about you,
Yeah,
right? You got to take the focus off of yourself, move that spotlight and put the focus on other people. Figure
yeah,
out what they need, figure out how you're serving them. And that's a lot of what Steve and I talked about on his podcast, Doing Business with a Servant's Heart, is who are you serving? What value are you presenting to them? And that is where we really have to anchor ourselves is I know that I have a value that I am presenting and I'm giving, I'm offering to my stakeholders, to my clients, to my leadership, all of these different things, to my colleagues, to my employees. Like take that value and deliver that, and then at the end, you're going to find those results that you're really looking for.
yeah, yeah. So what well, let me ask you, what inspires you most about the work you get to do and the impact you get to have, Aaron?
I love that question because there's a quote from J.M. Barrie, who created Peter Pan and that entire
Mhm,
world.
mhm.
And the quote, to paraphrase it, goes, once you stop believing that you can fly, you cease forever to be able to fly. And that was one of those things that I really latched on to is I'm only going to adult when I have to adult. I'm going to try and keep that youthful energy and that the eyes of a youthful person for as long as I can to
Yeah.
be able to play, to create, to yes and something instead of no because something. And
Mhm.
because that gives us that ping pong type of effect when you yes and everything. It could be terrible ideas, but when you're yes anding it, you're going to build to something that's amazing
Yeah,
versus that no because, which constantly is shutting the energy down.
yeah, yeah,
So what I love the most about what I do and how I impact people is I lock people in to the moment. I remind them to be present with where they are because so much of the outside world puts this weight on us and we get covered in muck, so to speak. And we forget to play. We forget to have fun with what we're doing. We get so focused on profit over people when it absolutely should be people over profit. And when we really enjoy what we're doing, everyone enjoys what they're doing.
yeah,
So that's one of the biggest things that I love about what I do is really holding up this mirror, whether it's for a second, an hour, a day at a conference, whatever it is, and allowing people to tap into that ability to play and be creative and think about things in ways that they wouldn't necessarily think about it.
yeah, yeah.
Um, I can't remember. his name, Duncan. I can't remember his name. He was the chief innovation officer for Disney, and I was hosting at a conference. And one of the things that he talked about with creativity was he said to have these unlikely collaborators. If you have all of the same people in a room that all think the same way, get someone from an industry that's completely different.
Yeah.
If you're in sales or finance, bring in a baker, bring in an architect, because they're going to have a different perspective than you've ever thought about something, and they're going to be able to shake it up and give you ideas that will help you get to something different, to help you be able to differentiate yourself. So that's what I love to do, is just kind of hold that mirror up for a moment, help people be present with where they are, and really squeeze the most juice, the most experience out of a moment when I'm doing an event or when I'm having an interaction with someone.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. I love that. I love that. So what's a result? And we don't have to name names here, or if you're cool with name names, you can, but you certainly don't have to. But what's a result that you've helped a client get that you're just incredibly proud of, Aaron?
Oh, I love that. That's so interesting. Because over the years I've done so many different types of events.
Hmm.
And I think when I get asked that question, my answer always comes back to this sense of relief that I give them.
Okay.
I'm able to show up, and they know that when I show up to their event, their audience, their brand, their client, they're going to feel like I've worked for this company for 10, 15 years,
Okay.
because I become this extension of the brand. I
Hmm.
understand the brand and what it is and their why and their values. And so I think that's one of the biggest things, is that I create this relief for them. They know that they can hand me a microphone, or they know that they can put me in front of their colleagues or their employees, and I'm going to help them to create the impact, the result that they want. And they're not going to have to micromanage it. They're not going to have to sit there and be concerned about it.
Hmm.
They know
Hmm.
that they can hand it off to me, and we're going to elevate. We're going to get to a place that we weren't before, because it's not about the information, it's about that transformation. And I think that's where the impact comes in for clients, is they can rest assured that they're hiring a professional, that they're hiring someone with years of experience, and they're hiring someone, just like I talked about, that sees things from a different perspective, from the energetic perspective of how it's going to impact those relationships, how emotion is going to play into it. So that way humans are talking and connecting with humans versus machines or robots or statistics or information are talking to
Yeah.
humans.
Yeah, I love that. I love that. And I'll tell you, it's really interesting. AI has, it's so, I just saw a news story yesterday because I live in Washington State here, north of Seattle, about 40 miles. We've had a lot of flooding in our area over the last week and stuff. In fact, most of my town is underwater and stuff. Fortunately,
Oh,
at
wow.
least for us personally, we're on higher ground, but there are a lot of people in this town who are really, being impacted by the floods. Man, I just got so much empathy for them. And I saw this news article yesterday that this highway that we travel quite often, going over Highway 2, going from Eastern Washington to Western Washington, part of it just got washed away in the river. And it showed a photo, and it was like an immediate, like a square chunk of the highway just gone, and right down the middle line of the highway. And it was a trail lasagna, and somebody took out a square slice.
Wow.
And my wife immediately looked at it, and she goes, "That's fake. That's AI." And so then I went to look at it because I did see it on social media. I said, "Let me go look." And sure enough, it was not AI. It was real. And they had a news story on it, and sure enough, it just a square chunk out of the road was gone, and enough to take out a couple of cars, And so now that highway is shut down. But you bring up the point of trust. And my wife's immediate response, that's AI, that's fake. And how much of that is going on now, though? I can tell you that we are totally in a trust recession right now. And the more that we do just what you've been talking about and just show up and just be us, because I will tell you, man, people, especially like entrepreneurs that I work with, they
Yeah.
want to make real, meaningful connection with people, and they want to be around people that they can trust, both their character and their competence.
Absolutely. That's a huge aspect of anything from sales to entertainment. It's about being able to create that trust
Yeah.
and be able to create those relationships. When people trust you, that's when they do the things, that's when they have the impact, that's when they do the actions, right? If I'm on a stage and I know that I want people to buy the speaker's book, I have to find a way to get them to trust me so that they believe that they should buy this book.
Yeah.
And you do that in a very authentic way. And that's kind of the triangle that happens there is here are my thoughts, here are my words, here are my actions.
Yeah.
And if the thoughts create these words and then this is the result, like these are the actions and it doesn't have the impact you want, you go back to that
That's
drawing
right.
board, thoughts, words, actions, and you kind of recycle through that.
Yep.
But all of that is about it is meaningless without that trust.
Yeah. 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 Well, okay, so now that we've got some context set here, I want to switch gears just a little bit, and I want to kind of move our conversation and start talking about relationships. I'll start by just asking you one question. So, Aaron, have you ever been introduced to a person or persons who completely changed the course of your life or your business, so much so that much of what you have today would not be possible if not for this person or persons? And I'm just really excited to hear your story and your experience around this topic of relationships.
That's a funny question for me because I continuously think of life in like these movie trailers,
Okay.
so to speak. And as the new year is approaching, I'm not sure when this is going to air, but as the new year is approaching, that's something that I've thought about a lot is as we go into the new year, so many people do resolutions.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
many people have these goals that they want to accomplish. Two of the things that I do is a wadi, a word of the year. I find a word and I use that word to kind of guide me through the year. It's much easier. But another thing that I decided that I wanted to do this year was to create the preview, right? When you go to the movies and you see those previews,
Yep.
that movie is coming.
Yeah.
You already know that movie is coming. It's not like they're going to show you this preview and it's not going to happen. So that's one of those things that I've started to do in December is creating my trailer, creating my preview of all the things that have already happened for
I
me in
love that.
2026. So it, to kind of backtrack a little bit, when I say that I think of it in trailers, I started as an engineer. I went to school for engineering, and
Okay.
now here I am as an entertainer.
Yeah, not doing engineering.
No, not at all. It's one of those situations where I was betrothed to the entertainment world before I even knew it. And a lot of these people that I'll mention here, they were the catalyst
Okay.
for this. They were the ones that helped to guide me to where I am. And I'm so grateful for them. I go back in my journey that I was in the entertainment or I was in the engineering field and I was studying for that. And an older fraternity brother of mine, Carlos Jimenez, who grew up in Orlando, I went to UCF. He stage managed at Universal and Disney and all this stuff. And
Okay.
He said to me, "Hey, Aaron, Nickelodeon is starting these new shows, and I know you're going to school for engineering, but you've got the right energy for these. Why don't you come audition, check it out? I won't influence it. I won't say that I know you. If you get it, you get it, and we'll go from there." And I went out, I got the job, and I started as a show assistant, and that meant that I was making pie and slime and moving around these giant cartoon-sized props. And from there, that led me to the hosting side.
Okay.
What led me to the hosting side is my engineering brain always wants to know how things work, but we also had a an incredible director, Bob Brandenburg, that some may say he was a tough director to work with, but man, Bob instilled in me and taught me the craft of hosting. He really tapped into the technical and the creative side of hosting, and he really laid the foundation and the framework for
Okay.
me. And I'm so thankful to him for that because he learned from a lot of those greats like Mark Summers and Bob Barker and those guys. He kind of trained under them. So
Wow.
I'm so thankful that I got a lot of that training that the old school
Yeah.
host, so to speak, had. So Carlos was absolutely one. Bob was definitely one. Ruben, who I'll get to last because I think he's going to be the anchor, the main person to honor when you ask about this.
Okay.
Um, there was a in at UCF, there was another pivotal moment where it was kind of the first time that I really had to make a strong decision in my career. There was a professor that I had, Nicole Howlett, that she was offering me an opportunity in this, I'll call it a private professional selling program that they only admitted 36 students.
Okay.
And you had to go through a rigorous interview process. And she invited me to that and put me through the ringer of that process. But I also had an opportunity to intern with the Wright Entertainment Group, Johnny Wright, which is a music management company. They managed NSYNC, the Jonas Brothers, Sierra,
Okay.
a lot of really big artists. And so it was the first time that I really had to make this career decision. And she asked me a lot of really important questions and supported the decision when I decided to go into this entertainment realm.
Wow. Wow.
So that was really incredible. And then fast forward to the last few years, I mentioned Mark Summers from the host of Double Dare way back in the day. I grew up watching him. And then when they did the Double Dare reboot, I had the honor of doing audience warm up for that reboot.
Oh, okay.
And I got the pleasure of working with Mark, and we really got to know each other and talk and speak. And we ended up having a dinner, and we talked about so many different things about the hosting world and the entertainment world. And he was asking me questions and making statements to me. And I was like, how do you know this about my life? This is like, have you been following? Like, I don't understand. And he goes, I know all of these things because you remind me so much of me and the path that I was on. And I wasn't asking these questions, I wasn't doing these things. And so he just offered me so much reflection and insight and mentorship during a pivotal point in my life. So a lot of those people that I just mentioned, I would say that they are supporting figures.
Hmm. Hmm.
And the main person to honor here is my my friend, my mentor, my brother. I've known him for so many years, but that's Ruben Irvin.
Hmm.
And I've I've known him since I was a teenager when I started at Nickelodeon.
Wow.
And he's probably one of, if not the greatest audience warm-up hosts in the country, if not the world right now. He works with Steve Harvey and Kelly Clarkson, and a lot of the major networks
Okay.
call him to do their shows. And he's opened so many. Let me correct that because I know if he watches this, he's gonna call me on this one. It's not that he's opened doors, he's pointed me and shown me those doors. It was
Okay.
always my decision and my choice, and it was always up to me to be able to walk through those
Hmm.
doors.
Hmm.
He's presented so many of them from hosting, which I learned a lot from him, from DJing, who he connected me with, a DJ company that taught me the DJ side of things. He's just been such an anchor and a pivotal person in my life. So if there's a main person to honor when we're talking about relationships here, it's absolutely Ruben.
Yeah. Wow. That is, man. Yeah, there's definitely no hiding your appreciation for Ruben, Aaron. So, what's an example of a situation where and where you personally got to make a really substantial impact, and maybe even in the moment it surprised you a little bit. You're like, just like, wow, look at what just happened right there. And you also know that would have never been possible if not for your relationship with Ruben or any of the other people that you mentioned. What's an example of something like that, Aaron?
Oh, that's tricky. I that's a tough one to answer because there is no like ROI that you can genuinely
Hmm.
see.
Hmm.
It's not something that you can be measured. It's not something where you can say, oh, our numbers increased X
Hmm.
percent
Yep.
this quarter at the end of the year. So I think I think one of the KPIs for it, the keep people interested
I
factors
love that. KPI, keep people interested.
that play into it, I think are when I coach or I train someone and I see I see that spark kind of happen in their eye. Their perspective shifts a little bit. I see them walk off stage and they're standing a little bit taller. They feel a little bit more confident. And I know that that's the ripple that Ruben and every mentor and Mira who poured into me. And I know that that's them kind of coming through and I'm passing along that energy
Yeah.
to them. So if I really lock into it, I think the impact that I have on certain people is seeing that energetic shift happen,
Mhm.
seeing positivity, the wheel of positivity start to go again of I had so much fun with this and I also learned so much from this.
Yeah.
I didn't even know that I was learning. I didn't even know that I was making an emotional connection to this brand or to this person, but somehow, some way now I am.
Yeah. Yeah.
Now I feel more confident when I'm speaking to someone because of that conversation that we had earlier of if you have this one-on-one conversation, you're not concerned about the 10 people, the 50 people, the 500 people that are in the room.
Yeah.
You're speaking to one person at a time, making a connection with them, and that alone is presence.
Yes.
That alone is the charismatic advantage. It's not about this performance of, oh, I'm going to be funny, or I'm going to make them laugh, or I'm going to make them cry here, or I'm going to really make them nod their heads here. It's not about that performance. It's about that presence and
Yeah.
being able to create that presence and show people and remind people to be present in whatever moment. That is what I think I've offered to people the same way that Ruben and Nicole and Bob and Carlos and Mark Summers have given to me. So I'd love to believe that I've done for others what all of those incredible people have done for me.
Yeah. And what a gift to be able to give people is just the gift of our presence, and
Yeah,
just being fully engaged in the moment, in the conversation that we're having with the person right in front of us,
yeah.
and you know, yeah, that whole thing, it just kind of comes naturally for me, especially when I'm talking with entrepreneurs, because I love talking with entrepreneurs.
I love
And
that.
so it's not difficult for me to be present there. And what I've really discovered over the years is, and especially doing these podcast interviews, just having a heart-to-heart conversation. And well, people always get in, like, they go to a business event or a networking event, and
Yeah.
they don't consider themselves a good networker, or maybe they consider themselves just more shy or not outgoing or what have you. And they're like, well, I don't even know what I would say. And I'm like, you know what? You don't got to say anything. Just ask somebody a great question. And like, for an entrepreneur, you know what? All you got to do for an entrepreneur to get them going and get them talking is ask them, hey, what are you working on right now that has you most jazzed and excited?
Yeah,
Trust me, you're going to
absolutely.
get them start talking. And
Absolutely.
and from there, now you just listen, be present, and don't listen with the thing in the back of your mind of you're just waiting for your turn to talk, because then you want to talk about what you do or whatever. But just let that go, be present, and listen to what they share and ask them more questions based on what they share, because you just genuinely want to know more and stuff. And through that process, we give people this gift that they hardly ever get to receive, which is this gift of feeling seen, heard, and understood. You know. And,
Absolutely. And that is my goal with everything,
yeah,
to make people feel seen, heard, and as if they are a part of the experience,
yeah,
not just a spectator watching from the outside. When you
yeah,
go to a conference or when you're at a live event, you're making that event.
yeah, yeah.
You are a huge part of that event. That's one of my initial jokes that I have when I'm doing audience warm up on the Kelly Clarkson show over at 30 Rock. One of the initial things that I say when I come out there is, "Who's here to watch a show today?" And a lot of people will raise their hand, woo, they'll cheer, all that. And I go, "Woo, you were in the wrong place, because you are not here to watch a show. You're here to be a part of the show." That's why we have these lights and these cameras and these microphones, because you are a huge part of the show. If we don't have your energy, because we've tried to do it during COVID, we try to do shows without an audience, and it is not fun. It's just not as much of a joy. So, making people feel seen, making people feel heard,
Yeah.
validating and giving value to their energy, because that ping pong, that back and forth exchange, that elevates everyone.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Wow. Well, for anybody listening to this right now, Aaron, going, man, Kevin, I really love Aaron. I love who he is. I love how he shows up. And man, some of the stuff that he shared has really landed with me. And maybe they'd like to find out more about you and what you're doing. Any websites, any resources we can share with folks, Aaron?
Yeah, absolutely. I have my website, which is just my name, aaronsmalls.com.
Okay.
And there's a bunch of different tabs on there, so you can kind of explore from the hosting side to the DJ side to the charismatic advantage side of things. The hosting program, the hosting program is called Just Like That. But
Okay.
again, like I said, it's more than just hosting and public speaking. It really is about mindset and affective leadership and really tapping in to all of those different elements. So, aaronsmalls.com, my handle on just about everything from Instagram to LinkedIn is at the Aaron Smalls.
Okay.
And
Okay.
then also on Instagram, I have my company page, which is at Curiously Talented.
Okay. Perfect. Perfect. Well, I will make sure that we include that in the show notes and stuff with the interview when we release it here. Um, Is there any last thing that you feel led to share, Aaron, before we call it a wrap?
Yeah, there's a couple last pieces that I would want to share, and that is when people ask me if I have advice for my younger self. And the number of times people have asked me that, and I've stuttered and stammered and tried to figure it out. I really sat down and I tapped into it, and the answer to that question has become invest wisely. Not just financially, but investing in people and investing in yourself. right? Because the energy invested in the right relationships, it's always going to pay greater dividends than really anything that's in your bank account.
Yeah.
And when you bet on yourself, that's when you give people the permission to believe in you too. That's when you give them the permission to believe in themselves.
Yeah.
So that would be something that I would tell anyone, especially my younger self, is invest wisely.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I guess, yeah, the last piece of it that I would share with people is to really tap in to that energetic exchange between people, right?
Mhm.
Feel that energy. Know that even before you walk into your office, when you get out of the car, your energy is already radiating around you, and that's going to spread to so many people. And I never want to just be another guest on a podcast or just another DJ in a booth or just another host on a stage. My intention every single time is to create something unforgettable,
Yeah.
is
Yeah.
to create these memories, to architect these memories, which are created in the moment because it's these moments that matter. And that's what life is it's a collection of these individual moments that we're stacking together. And we take that moment flip book and we go through it and we turn those pages. We're going to see all of those amazing things that have happened in our lives. And we're going to see some of the not great things that have happened in our lives. And we can't just anchor ourselves in the not good things because there are so many great things.
Yeah.
So
Absolutely.
I think that's kind of the last thing is really tap in to your energy. And I want the energy that we've created together to really resonate and stay with people. And I think that that's my gift. And I just wrap things up with saying to people, keep locking into those positive thoughts and those positive words and those positive actions.
Yeah. Amen. Absolutely. Well, Aaron, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to have this conversation today. I am really excited to get it out there and share it with a lot of other entrepreneurs. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it and really appreciate you, Aaron.
Absolutely. Thank you so much, Kevin, for having me here. And thank you, everyone, for listening and being here for 340 plus episodes. That's fantastic.
Absolutely.